Mark Rogers TV with you to talk some LSU football with Billy Gomila from And the Valley Shook on the SB Nation platform for LSU Athletics. Billy, I would have to say that you're in a unique situation with the LSU Tigers because so many expectations each and every year, winning the national championship most recently in 2007 and coming close in 2011 and having that top 5 expectation. So once you lose a game like you did against Wisconsin, then especially when another one follows, it's like, okay, well, the season's written off. And at least from a national perspective, you're ignored. But this was a really, really good football team at the end of the year. You know, Louisville came in with quite a bit of swagger, obviously, with the Heisman Trophy winner, and that was not a game. It wasn't a complete blowout, but you control the game. They don't score a touchdown with what's considered the most dynamic player in college football. LSU finished really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And they finished, I think, SB Nation's S&P plus metric, had them in the top 5. And it was kind of a lost year, and that's a shame. You know, you go back to that Florida game in particular. If Darius Guice takes a step in the right direction on that final play, he walks in the end zone, then LSU's playing Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl, and that would have been great. But, you know, when you change coaches like that, I expect a bit of a rocky transition like that. And I think LSU made the right hire, and I think they're moving forward in a way that's in the long term going to pay off. I think next year, with the starters gone, it might be, you know, not necessarily a team I think that's going to be ready to knock off Alabama yet or go undefeated, but a team that's building forward, I think.
So when you root for an elite program, and you just mentioned Ed Orgeron being the right hire, most people want the big name, the biggest name out there, and Jimbo Fisher obviously was the guy that was talked about, Tom Herman to a lesser extent. So you just said Orgeron's the right guy. Why do you think he's the right guy?
I think he's just I think it's the right fit, and I think he does the things that you need to do to be successful at a place like this. He's going to go out and he's going to get the best players. He's going to hire the best staff. He's going to let those coaches do their job. I think the fact that he's shown a willingness to learn from his previous stops. You know, a lot of coaches repeat the same mistakes over and over again, even good ones. And, you know, Coach O failed pretty miserably at Ole Miss 10 years ago, and then basically said, okay, well, here's everything I did there. I'm not going to do those things anymore. Went to USC and showed immediately that he could stop doing those things and bring that team together in a difficult circumstance. He showed that here, you know, to a lesser extent against a more difficult schedule, I would argue. And basically, unless you were one of the top, you know, 10 to 15 teams in the country, LSU smoked you this year, especially running the football with Leonard Fournette, even though he was hurt. Darius Guice comes in, does a really great job. And, you know, we know Orgeron's going to recruit. He's already made one of the most high-profile offensive coordinator hires of the offseason in Matt Canada. Very nearly got Lane Kiffin until him becoming a head coach became a better possibility, and locked up Dave Aranda on defense for a long time. And I think there's still going to be some more assistant changes maybe once you get through recruiting and things like that. And I think he's building the kind of program that LSU can build to compete with Alabama. He's not going to be able to build Alabama, but no one can do that except Nick Saban. I think he can come close to that.
You mentioned Canada coming in, and his recent resume is really impressive if you really think about the stops here. Northern Illinois in 2011, so they become one of the group of 5 powers. They move on to a BCS bowl game, actually, against Florida State at that point. He goes to Wisconsin. We know what they do running the football and play action pass. North Carolina State with Jacoby Brissett, they were down. They got to bowl games. They played much better for those couple seasons. And then most recently at Pitt. Now, when I think Pitt football, I think grinded out and not a whole lot of dynamic, explosive plays. But this past season, Pitt really lit it up. And they lit it up with the same style of offense in terms of running the football, having a tight end on the field, having a fullback on the field, doing everything that LSU typically does as an offense and would like to do. And I think that the roster would be built for. So it seems like a good hire.
Absolutely. You know, he was the only assistant in the country up for the Broyles Award that was an offensive coach. Everybody else was a defensive coordinator. what I like about him, and the more I study and the more I look, is that he's got a versatile approach. You know, he hit when he was at Northern Illinois. They were much more of a spread team, spread it out team. They like to run the quarterback a lot with Chandler Harnish and then with Jordan Lynch. You know, and then he goes to Wisconsin and he runs the same offense that everybody's run at Wisconsin. You got a big offensive line, you got a fullback, you got tight ends. He had Monty Ball, he had James White, Melvin Gordon, that group of running backs. And then he goes to NC State, kind of the same kind of style, but working with Jacoby Brissett, who was different, more of a mobile quarterback. And you come here, and he goes to Pitt. He works with Nathan Peterman, who was nothing special at Tennessee, and transferred out. You know, he had James Conner, he had a bunch of tight ends, he had a really good offensive line, and so what did he do? He made that work, and I think that's the approach that LSU has been lacking, the ability to adapt to the changes in the resources that are available to you. Because, yeah, you recruit to a system to an extent, but if you're LSU and you're not a national recruiter and you can't go everywhere and get everybody you want, you have to work with what Louisiana gives you, and you have to work with what's available in the region. And, you know, and you also have to be able to teach that system to young players. And that was something that Cam Cameron really struggled with, and that Les Miles kind of allowed him to struggle with. So I think that Matt Canada has shown that he can adjust to what we've got here. And a lot of what's worked for Pitt is stuff that LSU has done here. It's to lesser extents. And so I think it can be a very natural transition for this team.